if I was a dog, this day would be 7 days, because we have been all over, starting with a morning meeting with President Herzog, who spoke very pragmatically about the task at hand. Then we immediately went to see the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, who was here in Israel, and in spite of the fact that her father passed away last night, came and gave her remarks, which were as supportive as we've heard from Biden and Blinken and McConnell and everybody else. So it's very reassuring to know that the body politic of the United States of America is fully supportive of the state of Israel. It's very important for us to know that, and it's very important for the people of Israel, and that is all we hear. I am told that if the national election in the United States were held in Israel, that Biden would win in a landslide. We then went on to the president's offices, where we had the privilege of listening to Ron Dermer at length, who basically let us know that this is, if you don't already know this, an existential threat to the state of Israel. If Israel does not go into the Gaza and eliminate completely the Hamas, that Israel will not continue to exist and prosper. People cannot live. It's very sad that the people in the South and in the North have to live with rockets regularly, not periodically, regularly. And they somehow have come to believe that is a normal way to live. Well, it's not a normal way to live. And this terrible invasion, which just occurred with atrocities that are beyond human comprehension, have made it necessary to the future of Israel and the Jewish people, because this anti-Israel, anti-Semitic attitude is not limited to the Middle East. It has made it essential for Israel to show its strength so it can go forward in peace and have peace through strength. We then had a very short visit with the Prime Minister Netanyahu, who reiterated this is going to be a long war, an intense war, and a rough war. But everybody, states across the parameters, from soldiers we've met to casualties we've been with, to the rabbis, to the soldiers, that Israel will win this war and make Israel a safe place for Jews of the world to live. After that, we went on to go to Hadassah Hospital, where obviously there are many casualties being treated. I was more moved by a desk that had maybe 100 yahrzeit candles, and I don't have to tell you what that means. And it was very distressing to see. One of the more moving experiences we had today is we were in a room in the hospital with a woman who was in Zukim. Many of you know Zukim. She was a relatively young woman who was a nurse, who has 10 children, who was awakened on that terrible morning by the sound of rockets. And very many of the residents here tell me that the quantity and consistency of the rockets made them know something was different. She was taking her children with her husband to a shelter when she was accosted by what appeared to be an Israeli soldier, but was apparently a Hamas terrorist who had somehow gotten a hold of a Israeli soldier's uniform. God knows what happened to the soldier. And she took 3 bullets, but managed to continue using, she was a religious woman, managed to use her headscarf to make a tourniquet upon herself. And she and the children, thank God, are well. But there are so many stories. Last night, after we spoke to you, we attended a session with a woman whose, I believe was her husband. No, her husband was there with her. Please forgive me, there's so many stories. Her mother and 3 children were abducted. And at that time, when she sat with us and spoke to us, it was not clear that her children were hostages or were kidnapped or, God forbid, passed away. But the reality is, just an hour after our meeting with her and her husband, she got news that her husband and her, her mother and one of her children, a daughter, were identified as being deceased in Gaza. So the stories here are horrible, but the will of the Israeli people is incredible. They are consumed with the fact that this mission must be accomplished. And I will tell you, you know that I am here as the lay leader for the Jewish National Fund USA, along with Tali Sur, who is our professional here in Israel. And everywhere we go, everybody tells us that this conference of presidents of major Jewish American organizations is giving them the comfort of knowing that the Jewry in the United States of America and from all over the world are completely supportive of everything and anything that Israel needs to do to make it safe for the Jewish people. I'm now going to return because I stepped away from the conference for the moment to make this presentation. I look forward to seeing you all back in the States in the near future. And thank you for all that you are doing, all of you on the phone, for the Jewish National Fund, for the people of Israel. And I cannot tell you how appreciative I am. Thank you.